SmackDown review for the December 6th episode of SmackDown. I'm Will, that's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers, talk about some wrestling.
Minneapolis, Minnesota. Great wrestling town.
Yeah.
Tons of wrestlers from the Minneapolis area. Thought this was a pretty solid show.
Yeah.
For not really kind of knowing what the card was, or at least like I knew bits and pieces, but kind of got filled in with a lot of good stuff here.
Absolutely great show. We had a great live stream. Thank you all who did tune into that. Again, we were on Twitch, twitch.com/COD WrestlePod. We are doing watch-alongs now for Raw, SmackDown, and PLE, so be there. But let's get right into this. We start the show by them acknowledging all the injuries that happened at War Games. They said Bronson Reed, he shattered his foot. It's broken. So he's out for indefinitely. Tonga Loa, I didn't see what his injury was.
Torn bicep.
Damn. Jesus.
And he already had the surgery.
He already had a surgery. Tonga Loa, torn bicep, out for a long time. And Jimmy Uso broke his toe. He's out indefinitely. And so then we pan to the rest of the Bloodline members, Solo, Fatu, and Tama Tonga, and they're beating the hell out of the security on the way in.
Yeah, and Apollo Crews.
Yeah, and Apollo Crews, he just caught a stray.
He's just trying to walk in.
Getting the hell beat out of him. Security's just trying to do their job.
Everybody knows Apollo Crews had a big match coming up tonight.
Title match.
Took that man out.
He's gonna be the next member of OG Bloodline. I don't know. But Cody Rhodes would start the show as advertised, and he would come out and he would call out Kevin Owens. Basically, right away, he wouldn't say much. He did his whole shtick. You know, what do you want to talk about? Called out Kevin Owens, but it wasn't Kevin Owens who answered the call. It's Chad Gable, American Made. I was like, what the hell?
It's not the man that I necessarily wanted, but once I heard it, I said, oh, you know what? You signed me up for this.
He goes, Cody, why is the greatest athlete to ever come out of Minnesota here tonight? He goes, I talked to Nick Aldis tonight about a possible transfer to SmackDown, and more on that later. He goes, people in Minneapolis are gullible and simple. But you, I actually respect you. You're a professional. You're a champion. But Cody, that's kind of easy. He goes, being a good friend like Kevin Owens is not easy. And I'm like, what the hell is Chad Gable doing defending Kevin Owens? But then I remember all that stuff he went through with Otis because he mentions him. He goes, Otis was also a bad friend. I've been there. I've been in Kevin Owens' position. He goes, you are a terrible friend, Mr. Cody Rhodes. You're superficial. You only care about what other people think about you. You even teamed with Roman, the guy who all your friends hate. You deserve what comes to you. And Cody goes, oh, I guess that's a good point. He goes, Minnesota, my bad friend. And of course, all of Minnesota says, no, Cody, we love you. Cody, you're not a bad friend. And he turns and he goes, I'm disappointed in you, Chad. I see a lot of me in you. You take not special things and you make them special. Remember Shorty G? And then he says that was a lot like Stardust. And all of us popped out. We were like, you know, whenever you get to
Shorty G and the
Shorty
Stardust.
G, Stardust, woo! We love that. We love that. He goes, but at the same time, I know why you came out here and why you're so confident. It's because you have nothing to lose. But when you do have something to lose, what happens if you fail again? You failed your last team. So what happens if you fail Judas? What happens if you fail Brutus? What happens if you fail Ivy Nile? He goes, you're supposed to lead, but you already are failing your group already. And Gable goes, that's enough. I'd whoop your ass right now if you didn't have that suit on and if I didn't have my suit on. And he was very happy about his suit. They all look good. All of American Made had their suits on. And he said, and Cody comes back and goes, you know what? You said you were talking to Nick Aldis earlier. Why don't you go tell him match tonight and it's official. And I have Kevin Owens on my mind, which means that's not good for you. And they go away. So it's Cody Rhodes versus Chad Gable to later that night. And this was a very unexpected promo. It really kind of means nothing at the end of the day. They didn't really further any stories, but like they got the point across. And I'm always there for Chad Gable, right? I like this kind of stuff. I'm popping it.
Yeah, I'm going to pop this. Like I said, it's not the person I expected, but I'm never going to dislike anything Chad's in. I think it did two things. I think, one, it kind of continued to pinpoint Cody as you're not a good friend. You're not a good person, Cody. So now you've got other people bashing Cody. But most importantly, I think which is weird to say because Cody's your champion. Most importantly, it mentions the transfer portal. Which is something that I guess we hadn't really heard anything about. Chad Gable's the first one to really utter those words.
Yeah, so because this first promo really didn't I mean, you're right. They are still framing Cody as being this bad friend, and they're doing this thing where they're adding on the fact that like others within the company look at Cody and say, "Oh, you're a bad friend," right? That's what they're doing here to further that story. But the main takeaway, not from this, but like from little inklings throughout the night, was there seems to be this transfer portal that's now happening in the WWE that is taking place between now and Netflix, which is basically like a trade session between the shows. And you had Chad Gable talk about the idea of it. You had Carmelo Hayes talk about the idea of it. And then we saw little inklings of like Dom in the back.
And Gunther.
And stuff like that. So it's like, what do we think about this transfer portal?
Yeah, I think it's I mean, everybody every year kind of criticizes WWE for the draft, right? Nobody stays brand specific. This is just a very simple way to once again get the superstars on right shows, get those storylines going. I've never been opposed to it. I think it opens up the possibility. We talk about all the time about, well, what if this person was on this show? Or what if you had this person called up? Or, hey, these tag titles aren't really being defended. Why wouldn't you take this tag team here, move them here? Fits in perfectly. So I'm going to support it. I think it's smart, and I don't know the exact word I want to use, but we talk about it all the time with like college stuff, right? They're talking about transfer portal, NIL, all this stuff. Is WWE's like, yeah, we're going to take that. We're going to use the transfer portal as well. It gets a big up for me.
I think it's exactly what you need to be doing in WWE from here on out. What you do is you do the draft after WrestleMania, and then you go the 7 months or whatever afterward, realize your strength and weaknesses of the show, and then you make a logical, like within story thing, the transfer portal a thing, and you can just correct all your weaknesses right then and there. Like we talk about how the mid card of SmackDown has been sort of weak. Well, let's get some guys over there. Throw some guys in there. We talk about how the tag team divisions of SmackDown are always kind of fighting each other, like the Street Profits. Send them over to Raw. Get that dead Raw tag team division going. Like, I think you could really utilize this to jumpstart some really good things, and it's such a great idea.
Yeah, I see nothing but positives.
Yeah.
Realistically, like you said, like the Raw mid card. The Raw and mid card, we've talked about it for months and months and months. It's so strong. You've got Braun Breaker, who is, I don't want to say he's head and shoulders better than everybody else, but I mean, he's the standout. You've got Ludwig, you've got Sheamus. We talked about possibly Sammy. You have Drew McIntyre, and I know Drew's like, upper echelon. He's, main title, but he can always go back in there. He's had matches with those guys. Like, that's so cluttered. And like on SmackDown for a while, it was just LA, Andrade, Carmelo.
Yeah.
Now you have Shinsuke in there, luckily. You've kind of hinted at some other people possibly being in there, but there's nothing but positives, I feel like, can come from this.
Absolutely. Just target your weaknesses between the shows, throw the people that are necessary in to fill those weaknesses, and let's get the show on the road.
And it just is going to make for a better product.
Yeah.
Like, if you're upset at it, I don't know how you could be, but it's just going to make everything more enjoyable. And you get, like I said, you get those matches that you normally wouldn't get.
Yeah. Anyway, we had Bianca and Naomi talking backstage. Bianca's ribs are hurting her from the War Games match, and Naomi's talking about how she's a part of the Triple Threat U.S. title tournament tonight. And Bianca is kind of just also starting to look for the person who attacked Jade when Piper and Chelsea show up, and Chelsea starts laughing about how she beat Bianca in her Triple Threat match. And Bianca said, well, that was because of Jade. And by the way, I think that might have been Piper, because Piper's normally with you during the match, and she wasn't with you with us. And Piper took that offensively and is like, oh, you really think I would do something like that? Well, how about we fight tonight? And they set up a match.
Yeah, and then they attack her.
They do. They kick her in the ribs. Owie. Mm-hmm. But we would get our U.S. title Triple Threat qualifier match or tournament match. We would have Tiffany Stratton taking on Elektra Lopez and Naomi. And we were like, oh, Naomi and Tiffany Stratton in a match. This who knows? Mm-hmm. Who knows, basically.
Yeah.
And Elektra Lopez would start strong right away. She kind of took on that role that these Triple Threat matches are great at, where they kind of throw in people that you don't normally see and that you give them kind of 5 minutes of fame. Elektra Lopez got all that tonight. She came out with big kicks. She was coming out with high knees, drop kicks to both of them. She looked really strong here, but Tiffany would obviously respond because she's awesome. She was doing all her gymnastic maneuvers, jumping over Elektra, giving everybody some hard drop kicks, man. She hit Naomi with an apron drop kick that looked like she was going to take her head off, man. Absolutely crazy. But Naomi would come back. She'd hit like a cool little like off the ropes, double stunner, like almost like a springboard, but she was already holding their heads. Stunner to both of the women. Then she'd go for a suicide dive. And then when she'd suicide dive Tiff, so she hit Elektra with one, but she would try it on Tiff, and Tiff would stop it. And then we get good stuff here. But the end would happen where Naomi was she was getting hot here. And then Candice LeRae would come out and distract Naomi, and Naomi would kind of just shove her away, was able to hit a split leg moonsault on Elektra Lopez. And when she goes for the pin, Tiff hits a springboard
Swanton.
Springboard swanton onto Naomi's back, picks up Naomi, throws her out of the ring, and then hits the prettiest moonsault ever on Elektra Lopez. 1, 2, 3. Tiffany Stratton gets the win here. This match was absolutely great. And from top to bottom, it was phenomenal. And Tiffany Stratton winning sucks for the Naomi, right? But this was great. Popping it.
Yeah, I'm going to pop this as well. I think if you look at it, you're definitely like, well, there's two people that could win this match. We've kind of already talked about Naomi possibly having other storylines to go into. Tiffany, hometown girl here. I know she's from, I think, Bloomington, maybe, or no, that's Indiana. Either way, she's from Minnesota, so shout out to her. Maybe Bloomington. Who cares? I'm not a geography buff here. Comes out in the Minnesota Vikings gear, looking great. She hits all her stuff. The crowd is fantastic for her. Everybody's loving Tiffy time. The interesting part here, I think, is Candice LeRae helping her.
Yeah.
We haven't seen those two on the same page, and I don't know if Tiff's going to acknowledge it. Maybe Candice continues to say, hey, you wouldn't have won that match without me. Naomi was going to win that. I helped you out. Maybe Tiff's like, no, that's not true. Maybe you caused a little bit of divide there. But it is interesting, I think, that maybe Nia told Candice, hey, go help Tiffy out here. Maybe she can't do it on her own. Maybe that's kind of like the bigger story here.
Yeah, it is. It is. I like how they continued the story a little bit. It's hard without Nia there because she's like the reason that they're doing it. Like they're both trying to impress Nia, so this feels a little bit weird. But like, it's nice to see that they're going to try to work together. It's not just going to be a rivalry, right? There is going to be some sort of teamwork there. So I agree with you. More interesting to me though was like, so Naomi does not get the win here. Tiffany does move on. We all thought that Naomi had a really strong possibility of winning this belt, but now with Tiffany winning, it feels kind of obvious in my opinion that like it's going to be Chelsea Green versus Tiffany Stratton for that U.S. title, right?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would say that's probably the betting favorite here, and then maybe you end up having it like Candice came out this week to help. Maybe Candice comes out next week to help as well. Maybe Candice tries a third time to help. Maybe she ends up costing Tiffany, something like that. No disrespect to Bayley or Michin, but I feel like when you saw the bracket or when you heard about it, those were who your eyes and thoughts were immediately drawn to. It was either going to be Chelsea, Tiffany, or Naomi. Naomi's obviously out now. So now you got Tiffany and Chelsea. I mean, it's kind of just made for either one of them. Yeah,
I would have, yes. So I see it as Chelsea Green versus Tiffany Stratton, and then I would have Candice LeRae come out and kind of screw the pooch on it almost and have cost Tiffany, because at the end of the day, as great as Tiffany is, does still have that Money in the Bank briefcase, and I don't really need her running around with the U.S. title and the Money in the Bank briefcase. And then Chelsea Green's just so good that you might as well just give it to her anyways. But with the Naomi loss here, I just thought, it's probably going to be Tiffy Chelsea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably going to be.
Yeah, I feel like it's, well, I can't say that. I can't say for certain because I also said something was not going to happen tonight that did end up happening.
Yeah.
So don't listen to me.
Yeah. We would have Street Profits. They got attacked in the back. All their heads
Who done
hurt.
it?
Who done be doing these attacks? You know what I'm talking about? But Motor City Machine Guns are walking around like, hey, we were supposed to have a title match against them. And Nick Aldis is like, well, bro, your people are hurt. And Gargano just happens to be hanging out with them because he's good old buddies with Motor City Machine Guns. And Gargano is like, hey, how about us? And Motor City Machine Guns are like, you know what? That works for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously your thoughts immediately are it's either Gargano or Ciampa.
Yep.
One of the two attacked them.
Yep. Yeah, but they don't answer that all night.
No. It's Street Profits get attacked. Man, nobody really mentions a word of it.
Backstage of SmackDown is a dangerous place. You can just be attacked and nobody even knows. They ain't got cameras or nothing. Anyway, we would get our Bianca Belair versus Piper Niven. She obviously came out with Miss Chelsea Green, and this match had no reason to be a 20-minute banger, but it sure as hell was. Bianca is selling her ribs from the War Games match, and she got attacked earlier in the night. And right away, Bianca was mad because she got attacked and she'd go after Piper, but she could not lift her because ribs, they hurt. And when she couldn't lift her, Piper saw blood in the water and went for it. She would hit drop kicks. She would hit like some cross bodies. She would do like a sidewalk slam that was absolutely awesome. She basically dominated Bianca Belair the majority of this entire match. She would hit a huge senton as well, but Piper would eventually go for like a splash, and Bianca would move and start doing her comeback. She would slam Piper's head. She'd go turnbuckle to turnbuckle like 3 or 4 times and just slam her head into one. She'd slam Piper's head into one, walk her to the other one, slam her head into the next one. I was like, wow, that's a good way to use that. She'd also hit her own crossbody and get a good old 1-2-ooh. But Bianca would reverse a power bomb. She would get walked out like a power bomb from the corner and reverse it into a spear. 1-2-ooh. Everybody's got a spear now.
Bianca's been putting that spear in her repertoire more and more.
I know, everybody's got one.
She's been killing it.
Everybody gets a spear. It's like, what is it, Oprah?
It's Goldberg's time to shine, let me tell you.
Oh, Jesus. Bianca would go for a KOD, but can't pick her up. Absolutely can't pick her up. And Piper would decide to give her a good old back suplex. And Bianca would be like, that didn't hurt enough. I want some more. And give her a spine buster. And then Piper would get her knees up when Bianca tried to do like a moonsault to her. And then Bianca would reverse a cannonball. They were just reversing everybody's moves. Everything was going absolutely crazy until Piper would hit a sit-down powerbomb, get a 1-2-ooh herself. But then the end here comes. Bianca would be in the corner and be setting Piper Niven up. Sit her on the turnbuckle. And of course, Miss Chelsea Green isn't going to let her friend get beat up. So Chelsea Green hops up on the apron. She starts talking that smack to Bianca. And Bianca's like, you know what? I've had enough. Throws Chelsea in the ring. And then hits her to where she's laying on the mat and goes over to Piper Niven and picks her up from the turnbuckle, walks her to the center of the ring, and gives Piper Niven a KOD on top of Chelsea Green, and then pins Piper Niven 1, 2, 3. Bianca gets the win here in what is a phenomenal match, ended with a phenomenal move. These guys put on a show, pops all the way around to them.
Yeah, I'm going to pop this as well. Like you said, we didn't have it on our bingo card for this to be as long as it was.
Yeah.
Or as good as it was. Bianca is Bianca Belair. I don't need to go into that. We say that every week pretty much. It really shows that they're having trust in Piper. I mean, they gave Piper some time. Piper showed out. We haven't really heard a lot from her since she had that title opportunity. She's kind of been kind of quiet. She's kind of just been Chelsea's sidekick. So nice to see Piper kind of get some time, show what she can do. Match was phenomenal. The end spot, you get what everybody loves to see. You get Chelsea Green taking the bump there. You get Bianca showing her strength to the crowd there. That they love it. I mean, just a great opening match. Bianca kind of shows that maybe she doesn't need a tag team partner to defend those titles. Maybe she just solo does it for a while. Who knows? Yeah,
she doesn't need nothing. I mean, she's freaking Bianca Belair. Like, it's that simple. And then people are immediately going to rebuttal us and be like, yeah, but you guys hate on Rhea Ripley for doing all this stuff every week. But, like,
well, we don't see it as often with Bianca.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. If this is the beginning of an awesome Bianca, she gets to beat up everybody run, I'll let it slide for a little bit. But when we're 7 months into it and she's beating up Judgment Day as well.
And you could think about it this way. I do know later in the night, they do mention that it was not Piper that attacked Jade.
Yeah, we'll get into that now.
But you talk about it and like Bianca is on a mission. Who attacked my friend? Who attacked my tag team partner? So for her to look kind of so dominant, I feel like really kind of fits the story because it's kind of no holds bars, no prisoners. Like, I'm going to run through everybody until I find out who did this.
I couldn't have said that better myself. Yeah, it's Bianca's own little revenge tour, and it's I will run train through all this until I find who did it. We would get a Shinsuke Nakamura entrance. Shinsuke Nakamura, he comes out and this new entrance is another level. The moon gets bigger as he walks closer to the ring, and the camera's up against him, and he's wearing this mask. But he's your new United States champion, and he enters the ring. But before he even gets up off his feet, LA Knight's music hits. Yeah, he's not very happy because he lost that belt last weekend.
Yeah,
he comes out, he goes, I look at this sorry example for a U.S. champ. You ain't the real champ. You ain't the ideal champ. That belongs to me. I want my rematch, and I want my rematch now. Yeah. And then he's kind of, when he asks for his rematch, he kind of asks, And Shinsuke just stands there looking menacing.
Mm-hmm.
And LA Knight's like, I thought you would say something, or I thought you'd say nothing. You've done nothing but attack me and spit mist in my face. So guess what? I brought my mist blockers. Puts his LA Knight sunglasses on. And I was like, that was hilarious. I'm gonna come into that ring and I'm gonna stomp you out. Yeah. And the second he gets into the ring, Andrade's music hits. And Andrade's pissed because Shinsuke attacked him as well. And he comes out and he's like, LA Knight, I'm not here for you. I want Shinsuke. And then LA Knight immediately rebuttals and he's like, no. This guy, I got business. I got business with him first. And the second I get my title back, I'll let you have a chance. And the second he gets done saying that, Solo and Fatu and Tamatanga attack LA Knight and Andrade. They're beating the holy hell out of him. Solo ends up giving a spike to both of them. Solo takes the mic. Solo says, to anyone believing that the bloodline is finished or the bloodline is weak, guess what? Try to step up and try, because we will lay your ass out every single time. I'm tired of not being taken seriously. I am still your tribal chief. I am still your head of the table, and I still have this. And he points to his Ula Fala, and he says, Minnesota, acknowledge me. A lot to thank here.
And it's also important to note, they lay out Andrade in LA, and everybody looks at Shinsuke, and then Shinsuke is just bleeding from the mouth.
Yeah, he has like some sort of... Corey Graves did a phenomenal job explaining it. It was like a warning. Mm-hmm. Like they surrounded Shinsuke as well, and he like gets down into like a weird animalistic like stance, and then he starts to leak blood from his mouth. And it was sort of like how like animals, like with their colors and stuff, and they scare off predators. It was sort of him doing that. And the bloodline was kind of just like, all right, you can leave.
Yeah. We don't want any problems. We don't have any problems with you. You do your own thing kind of thing.
Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pop this. But the takeaway here is it looks like the bloodline is just going to start running through people while Roman's absent and while we're waiting for the Netflix deal. That seems to be the route they're taking with the bloodline here. Solo, Tamatanga, and Fatu, they take out LA Knight. They take out Andrade. Establish that, like, if you even think we're weak, come get it because we going to put it out to you. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, I'm going to pop it as well. I thought it was cool. Shinsuke, like, being the complimentary piece, but, like, the big takeaway for me was Shinsuke with that, like, warning.
Yeah.
Like, that was the lasting image in my head, at least. In terms of the new Bloodline stuff, you don't have very long until Netflix is here, just a few weeks, and then they're going to be off, obviously, for the holidays. And so it's not very long. You can just kind of keep having them do this, and it's not really going to impact me too much. They can keep attacking people. It's fine. I think with maybe, new Bloodline saying like, hey, we have 2 members out, so there's 3 of them. You have Andrade, LA Knight. Well, they also attacked Apollo Crews in the night, so maybe you get some sort of 3-on-3 tag match eventually, something like that. But it's fine. Like, I'm that's not something I'm going to write home about, but...
This is a consequence of Roman not being booked for anything until Netflix, and the consequence of them losing at Survivor Series. It's just like, okay, well, we have like 3 weeks here, guys. How do we make sure that we keep you relevant? Okay, just go take out everybody.
Yep.
And they've done such good work over the past half year that, like, you know what? I'll give this to them.
Yep.
Just go around, knock a bunch of people around that we wouldn't normally see around the bloodline, see if we can get any fun interactions there. And then when Roman's back, let's get back into it.
Yeah, and you kind of need them to look like, you kind of got to book them a little bit strong because they did lose. Like,
Yeah.
I understand Solo's like, I have the Ulafala, like, you still need to come for me, whatever the case may be. But it's like, well, you guys did kind of get dominated in a sense, so you need to kind of inject that back a little bit. And also, I guess before we go any farther, did you want to talk about the Bianca and Naomi backstage thing?
We did.
Well, I just want to make it clear. We're sitting here hanging out. I'm eating a candy bar, just hanging out. I dropped the candy bar out of my mouth because Bianca and Naomi, Byron Saxton comes in and says, hey, was not Piper Niven.
Yeah.
So I saw her backstage. Who could it be? I think it is important to note, we didn't talk about this yet. Naomi proceeds to rattle off about
Every other name.
10 superstars at this point.
Yeah.
And then her and Bianca say, whoever wants it can get it. We're going to find out who it is. I think we're just leaning into it's probably going to be Naomi.
Yeah. Or it's a facade for Bianca, which WWE's good at right now.
At this point, I don't think I could guess because every time I put a guess out there, it's wrong.
Well, speaking of facades, we had ourselves a tag team championship match. It was the Motor City Machine Guns taking on DIY, and Johnny Gargano and Ciampa are on the breaking point.
Yeah.
Ciampa's just pissed about Gargano's seeming friendship with Motor City Machine Guns and him not having a killer instinct. He's just mad. Gargano's pissed. He wants the title belts, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he starts the match, and when the bell rings, he attacks. He goes right after Sabin. And he would... Eventually, Sabin and Shelley would get the upper hand here, but this 99% of this match was all about Tommaso Ciampa just not trusting Gargano, and whenever there was a time for Gargano to get involved and try to do something a little bit dirty or try to help Ciampa on the outside of the ring and attack the Motor Machine Guns that way, Gargano would not do it. He just would stop himself every single time. He would stop himself, and Gargano would just scream, or Ciampa would just scream at him. Ciampa would just, every single time, he'd be like, "You're doing nothing. Go back to the corner."
Yeah.
Or you're just letting us down. Whose side are you on?
Yeah.
It was all this stuff the entire time.
Yeah, that's the main thing, because the thing building up for weeks is Ciampa doesn't know whose side Gargano's on.
Yeah.
And Gargano, admittedly, at least at the beginning part of this match, he's very hesitant. He's not really wanting to hurt Motor City Machine Guns. And he's like, well, these kind of are my friends. I don't really want to destroy them.
Bingo. And so there's a big point in this match where Ciampa never would tag Gargano in. Even when they went to the outside, Ciampa would have these like roid rage spells almost is what they looked like, where he would just go absolutely insane on one of them. So he threw Shelley outside the ring one time and was throwing him on the announce table and threw him against the title belt, because they have that cool little title belt stand now when there's title matches, and everything was going on. He was yelling at Ciampa to stay, or Gargano to stay on the apron, and all this stuff was happening.
Yeah, and Gargano has this look on his face of like, you don't have to do all this.
Yeah.
Like, take it easy a little bit.
Eventually, Ciampa trusted Gargano. So he left, I think it was Shelley on the outside of the ring, and he left him outside the ring, and he tagged Gargano in, and he said, go out there and destroy him. And what he meant by that was go out there and, utilize the announce table, utilize the barricade, utilize the post or something. Mm-hmm. And instead, Gargano rolled out, picked him up, and got him back in the ring. And Ciampa was pissed. He was like, I just told you to destroy him, and you won't even do that. They're not your friends. Whose side are you on? And he gets in the ring and he shoves Johnny Gargano. And Gargano, at this point, he's done. Mm-hmm. And he shoves Ciampa back. And when he shoves Ciampa back, Ciampa looks at him and goes, okay, we're done. And Ciampa leaves the ring, and he goes next to the announce table, and he grabs a chair. And at this point, Gargano has now gotten Shelley over to the other side of the ring next to kind of where Sabin is. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, Ciampa jumps up on the apron with a chair. Obviously, the ref is like, that's against the rules.
Yeah, and it seems as if, because Ciampa's saying DIY is over, he's telling the commentary it's over, so he's bringing the chair in to go after Gargano.
Yeah.
Because he's done with this. He's over this.
He's done. He's going to go attack Gargano. He's done with everything. DIY is done. It's happened. And the ref goes over to stop him with the chair because, there's a chair. Can't be a part of the match. When that happens, Gargano hits Shelley with a low blow. Gets him low. And Sabin's in the corner, and he's like, what the hell? Because they are friends at the end of the day. And when that happens, Ciampa throws the chair down. He gets in the ring. He gets in there, and they take him out real quick. They take out Sabin real quick. Shelley's in the ring still holding his crotch because he got low blowed. They hit Ciampa and Gargano, hit the meet in the middle. 1, 2, 3. DIY wins the tag team championship with the help of a Johnny Gargano heel turn. He joins Ciampa in this heelish mentality, low blows the Motor City Machine Guns. They had me in the first half on this one, man. I thought they were going to have Johnny Gargano break up DIY and go be all goody two-shoes. And the second he hit that low blow, man, my jaw dropped. This is such a great decision. Looking forward to a DIY title run with this type of attitude.
Yeah.
Pop.
Yeah, I have to pop this as well. I was kind of like, I guess early on, it wasn't really hitting me the same way it was to you. But once you started talking about it, I was like, okay, yeah, I understand. Like, I wasn't a fan, but I was like, okay, like, I don't know, this seems weird. And even on the stream, I said, DIY's got about a -3% chance to win these titles. Dude, right?
Y'all should have been there. If you were there, but if y'all should have been on our stream. It was literally the second that Ciampa pushed Gargano, Brandon looks at us and goes, there is a negative 3% chance DIY wins these belts. And then all this takes place.
Yeah, all of it takes place. Like, first we have the New Day turning heel. You got DIY turning heel now. Gargano is showing his allegiance to Ciampa here. Could not be more excited about it. This is the tag team feud that we're going to have for a while. It's going to catapult those belts to some prominence that we haven't seen in a while, I think. You feel bad for Street Profits. You're like, man, they continue to keep getting screwed out of these matches. I think they're a key acquisition for Raw for those tag titles. I think they are going to be maybe an early transfer pull or maybe the first one. They're going to maybe take those belts off of Judgment Day. So everybody's happy there. But I could not be happier to see Motor City Machine Guns and DIY because the tag team wrestling is phenomenal with both of these teams.
Yeah, it makes up for a lot of things because it was like, one, DIY got their belts ripped off them from the Bloodline just for story purposes a while back, and it felt cheap. And then we all kind of saw this breakup as like, they're just going to run back the NXT Ciampa Gargano thing. And then they pull this, and it's like, yep, Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, give us phenomenal tag team wrestling for the belts. Run it 30 times in a row for me. Let's get it.
Yeah.
But I am with you. Send Street Profits to Raw, please.
Yeah.
They deserve big time problem.
Run this like a best of 7.
Yeah.
And then have the final match be at Mania. I don't really care. I mean, this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. We would move on, though. Kevin Owens earlier in the night posted a video saying that he's supposed to have an interview on SmackDown today, but he hasn't been allowed to SmackDown for months, and he doesn't want to be invited to Minneapolis just to have a stupid interview with Michael Cole. But he's here in Minneapolis, but they're going to do the interview on his terms. So if Michael Cole wants to interview him, he's going to have to come out to my car.
Yeah. Where later on he says it's a comfy 68 degrees in my car.
Comfy 68. Michael Cole heads to the car.
No coat.
No coat, no nothing.
No beanie, no singlet.
Corey Graves is like, make sure you wear more than that dumb singlet. But he goes out there and they're just filming this. I thought it was absolutely spectacular. It was like they literally are filming Michael Cole walk up to this car in this parking lot, like almost like they're filming with an iPhone. Like it literally feels like they're this close to him. And Michael Cole's like, "What are you do? What are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we in your car? We have a nice place inside where we had like everything for this." And that's when KO's like, yeah, it's a nice 68 degrees in this car, bro. And Michael Cole is he's just not happy. And KO's like, Michael Cole talks about how he just wants to have an unbiased sit down interview with them. And KO's like, you are not unbiased. You are the #1 Cody fan. And Michael Cole responds like, what are you talking about? For years and years, I was a huge Kevin Owens supporter. I'm just not a Kevin Owens supporter recently because you're acting like a jerk. And KO's like, you should see things the way I see them, Michael Cole. You hated Roman, and you saw what he did to me in my career. He tried to ruin my career. You saw everything, and then you sat here and you saw Cody team with him all this time, and you said nothing. And this is about Cody, though, and that's basically all he wants. And then Michael Cole is like, but it's not just about Cody. Sammy, Jay, Jimmy, all of them went and thought it was the right decision to team with Roman Reigns. He's like, it's just the right thing to do. They all saw it this way. And Kevin Owens is kind of shaking his head at this point. He's like, no. I'll deal with Sammy some other time. But right now, this is all about Cody Rhodes. Cody was my friend. He stabbed me in the back. And Cole said, you know what? You're being petty. Look in the mirror. You are the problem. And the second he says that, Kevin Owens goes, I'm the problem? You know what? Get out of my car. And then he goes, Michael Cole. And Michael Cole turns and then he rolls up the window and drives away.
Yeah, Michael Cole's like, oh, are you going to apologize? And just slowly rolls up the window.
So I like this. I like these interviews tonight from Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes because both of them got approached by somebody who had the mindset of they're in the wrong. So it was someone from outside the feud telling both of them that they are wrong in their point of view. So both guys, no one is supporting either guy. And so it's like no one's really getting support from anybody else and they're feuding with each other. I just find that to be an interesting circle of events.
Yeah, I feel like that's something we haven't at least seen in a really long time. You usually just have, I'm right, you're wrong, let's fight about it.
Yeah.
So it is nice to see outsiders kind of pick and choose sides.
Yeah.
You had Carmelo previously on Kevin Owens' side, and then you had Gable tonight, and you have Michael Cole on Cody's side. I also really like the way that they did this. I wasn't a big fan, I mentioned it before, of the like taped Kevin Owens in the car, but like this was something I've never seen before, and it's something that's like interesting. Him and Kevin just sitting in the car talking, having a conversation. I thought that was really cool. Like just something different. Like at the end of the day, it might be like you might not have got a ton out of this in terms of like substance, but the way that the setting was, Michael Cole having to get up, going on Kevin Owens' terms to where Kevin finally gets what Kevin wants. But then you also have Kevin at the end of the day, like, yeah, I got what I wanted. But at the same time, I'm still upset with you because you're picking Cody's side. So I'm going to leave. So you have Kevin finally getting what he wants also. But then Kevin is also still like a baby in a sense. And which kind of proves Cody right as well. So like you have reinforced on both sides all night.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of being framed from everybody on the outside as both guys are just being immature. Like it's kind of being framed at like this is just an immature feud between two friends who hate each other and they're both wrong. And that's just a very interesting way to go about a wrestling feud. I don't think I've seen that in a long time or if ever. And it's a cool build up. It's making me really like this feud because it's very small things. These aren't huge, Drew Punk promos or anything like that. I mean, they were a couple weeks ago. The Cody KO one was great because you do need that every once in a while. But when you can do stuff like this where random guys are kind of talking to each other and still build a feud that way, that's interesting. That's cool. That's a good way of doing it, and I'll pop it.
Yeah, and the last thing before we move on, I think it is important again that Kevin, once again, I think it says something that he does acknowledge Sammy out of everybody on the Michael Cole list. Yeah. And he acknowledges Sammy. I'll get to that when I get there.
Yep.
Very subtle, but I think that's a big thing. I also think, oh God, I just lost my train of thought. That's terrible. You hate to see it. Yeah, you know what? I had my brain pop in about Sammy, and I was focused on that. That's tragic. I had such a good point coming too.
He should focus on Sammy later, and that's a good point that he brought it up.
Well, yeah. Oh, here it is. Kevin once again didn't say anything that was wrong. He once again laid out the facts, laid it out again, and it's like, yeah, you know what, Kevin? Yeah, you're making perfect sense. This is fantastic.
Looks like you're a KO guy.
I don't know about it. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, his
the predictions will be tough. I'll say that.
Yeah, his competitor was fighting in the main event against a man named Chad Gable.
Yeah, you see that, Peasy? Maybe he wasn't at Survivor Series, but he was on SmackDown.
Damn right, Peasy.
Take that.
Chad Gable, Cody Rudd. Peasy's a guy in our Discord, and he comes and watches us on Twitch. So
he hates Cody Rhodes.
You guys should all do it too.
Yeah, he hates
Anyway, we got Chad Gable, Cody Rhodes at the very end in a main event, and I was like, sign me up all day. I love these two. This is going to be great wrestling. And it was. Yeah. It was technical wrestling from the get-go, back in absolute fourth between both of them, basically just showing off how great they are in the ring. And sometimes you just sit back, relax, pop your popcorn. You're like, man, wrestling is fun to watch.
Yeah, you pop a popcorn, eat a candy bar.
Have
a nice glass of whatever. The only thing that I will say that was like, dang, that sucks. I only got about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, you could sign me up any day of the week, give them 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. But right away, or early in the match, Gable would drop kick Cody's leg / ankle area. I would say his ankle.
Yeah, his ankle. And he does that cool, like, oversell front flip.
Yeah, he oversells it, front flips it. And then Chad grabs him by the leg, drags him over the post, and starts smashing it against the post. And Cody sells the hell out of that the rest of the match. It was a big deal. But Gable would obviously go for it, ankle locks, and Cody would reverse it. But then Chad Gable would follow it up with a suplex, followed by a diving headbutt, because the man is phenomenal at what he does. But Cody would eventually get a comeback and hit a top rope inverted suplex to Gable. That move looks awesome every single time he does it. He'd also hit a disaster kick and a Cody cutter. And after he hits all those moves, Chad Gable is out of stamina. He's down for the count. So big old Julius pulls his guy out because American Made's there with him. Julius pulls him out of the ring, and the ref sends them all back, disqualifies him, gets him away, go to the back. Why the hell does no one do that to the Bloodline?
SmackDown's had questionable ref choices, either this or that time they got that DQ for throwing him into the steps.
Yeah.
Weird refs on SmackDown.
We need better ref training.
Maybe we need to transfer refs.
Transfer refs.
Send some of these people to Raw.
Bring back Kyoto.
Send them down to NXT and have them learn.
Bring back Kyoto.
Yeah. Hashtag.
He'd pull him out, and the ref would send them all back. And that gave Gable enough time to get back, on his high horse, and he'd get back in the ring and immediately go for the leg once again. And when he goes to the leg, he starts stomping on it again, and then he does a move. He does something we haven't seen in a long time. Loosens and takes off the boot of Cody Rhodes. That is some old school wrestling, and it's so good, and that's why we love guys like Chad Gable. But he takes Cody's boot off because the ankle, the boot's there to strengthen the ankle, help the ankle, support the ankle. He ain't got a boot. Ankle's just wide open to be attacked. And when he does that, he puts it back in the ankle lock. But Cody obviously is Cody, and he uses his leg and kicks him and sends Gable into the corner. And when he does that, Cody runs up there on his hurt ankle and does a top rope Cody cutter, goes to the crossroads. That gets reversed into another ankle lock, but Cody grabs the rope, and Chad Gable would German suplex him, and Chad wants to go for a top rope moonsault, goes for it. Cody gets up, moves out of the way. Chad lands on his feet because he's a freaking athlete. And when he lands on his feet, Cody gives him a good old crossroads, hits the crossroads. 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes wins. But Kevin Owens attacks Cody Rhodes, goes for that ankle that Chad Gable got. And it looks like going into Saturday night's main event, Cody Rhodes is going to be down an ankle. It's going to be a big old injury from him after Chad Gable attacked it. Does that even the odds and give Kevin Owens the advantage and maybe even the opportunity to win this belt, and maybe they have a back and forth with the belt?
Yeah, I think so. This is maybe how do I want to word it? This is probably the worst we've seen Cody going into like a title defense. This is the most vulnerable we've seen Cody, not only from a physical standpoint with his ankle, but a mental standpoint as well. He's kind of making some errors that I feel like Cody typically doesn't make. Cody's on his game. He typically doesn't mess up. This ankle injury, if they keep doing it, I think so. I think next week we'll probably get Kevin maybe attacking it a little bit more. I would have liked to kind of see during the brawl, I would have liked to see, I know Kevin stomps on it a couple times right in the beginning. I would have liked to see a little bit more just to really drive that point home, but maybe we get that next week. I'm almost betting at this point, though, we get Kevin Owens is going for an ankle lock and the boot comes off. Good old like Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, and there's my boot. I just feel like that's what we're gonna get. Popping this match. This match was fantastic. The ankle injury, like I said, you got to give some sort of belief that Cody's going to lose. Yeah, because if you don't, it's just super Cody, and we all think he's going to have that belt till Mania. This at least shows like, hey, there's a chance. Yeah,
I like the way that they're doing this. I think it's cool that someone not named Kevin Owens is the one who injured the ankle first. I think that's interesting. I like how Kevin Owens went for it. It makes sense in a heated rivalry. And while I don't think Cody's going to lose the Saturday night's main event, I like the idea of them utilizing this injury to make him drop the belt and give us a little bit of a tug of war back and forth with the belt, just from here to Royal Rumble, to give Cody a little bit more of an interesting feud. We all think that he's just going to carry it into Mania. This would be a good little twist for me. I would like that. When it came to the match, pop. I mean, Chad Gable versus Cody Rhodes with, boot stuff. And we haven't seen that type of stuff in forever. Chad Gable being in a main event scene against the top guy in the entire company, just hell yeah, all the way around.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't say it better myself. It's interesting because like you have Gable injuring Cody, and then you have it seems like Kevin and Gable are kind of like aligning. Like they're not buddy, but like they're kind of working along the same thing, and maybe one day we get some sort of tag match. I would like to see that. Some sort of like Gable and Owens versus Cody, and you probably get Sami Zayn penciled in there maybe.
Yeah, no one else on SmackDown is on Cody's side.
So, yeah, who knows at this point? I mean, there's so many people kind of wrapped up that it's like, well, this was an interesting way to bring American Made over, and you have them do something like this where we've talked about it for kind of months at this point. Like, American Made felt kind of like, like what's really going on with them? We were big fans, really hoping this would work out, and they haven't really maybe hit that stride. They're a little bit disappointing at times, but this is something in the right direction. And I really think that Cody, maybe he doesn't lose the title there, but I would like to see this be like a lasting thing. Like kind of like how we see Rhea with like the orbital, like the face stuff. I would like to see this kind of continue. Maybe you get it towards Rumble, and maybe that's where you get a loss.
I would love it. I would love a little bit of a shakeup because I do want Cody walking into Mania as my champion. I do. I like Cody as my champion, but when it's expected, and we have months and months to go, I wouldn't mind a little bit of a curveball in there, and then put the belt back on him, and then I'm reinvigorated with him, and then we get to go to Mania instead of just like, okay, he conquered Kevin Owens again, and
yeah, and that's why I think this transfer portal is such a great idea because we've all kind of thought like, okay, you got Liv going into Mania, you got Nia, maybe Tiffany, you got Cody, you got Gunther, like everything seems to be like, okay, well we're just waiting until Mania. Like, This is the perfect injection to shake up, and you can just do anything you want to do.
Yeah, very much looking forward to what they do with that.
And WWE has been so good with everything they've done. Yeah.
Let's do it. Shake it all up, bro. Shake it all up. We're getting that fun time of the year for wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. Man, we were overly positive on this week's episode of SmackDown. I mean, there really was nothing to complain about.
No, I don't think there was anything bad at all. I mean, like I said, I guess you could maybe talk about like the Street Profits once again losing out on a chance, but like we discussed during the live stream, I think you have them go to Raw. They take those titles off Judgment Day. I would really like to see Street Profits versus the New Day.
Oh my God, yes.
I think that would be just fantastic.
Please.
Sign me up.
Please.
That's another thing. Like you have the SmackDown tag titles in such a good feud. That would be such a good feud for the Raw ones. Boom.
I totally agree. Give it to us. Anyway, 14-0 on Pops. Good old episode of SmackDown.
Yeah.
Good old episode.
Yeah. Was it something I'll go back and watch again? Probably not. But for the time, for the place, how it felt.
Great 2 hours.
Yeah.
Follow us on all of our socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts at, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, etc. Follow us on Twitch. We do watch-alongs now, and it's so much fun. Twitch.com/COD WrestlePod. It's in our link tree with absolutely all of our socials. So if you want to find us on anything, just hit our link tree in our bio. Linktree/COD WrestlePod is basically what it is. It's in the links. Follow us on everything. We absolutely love talking to you guys. But I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. We will see you next time.